LSU. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. All right, what are we talking about here? This is a really good team. The over-under's at 9.5. I'm gonna straight up say it. Give me the over. Bang. Come on. Let's go. What kind of? I mean, look, as an A&M fan, I don't love that LSU is as talented as they are, but I'm here to make money on this show. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be taking LSU. I'm sure they lose BJ Ojulari, Jacqueline Roy, Jay Ward. Those are all defensive players. Those are all pretty good players. And defensively, they weren't terrible last year. Is that okay to say? Like, they weren't terrible, right? I mean, there were definitely some weaknesses on that team, but offensively, they don't really lose anyone. They lose Keyshawn Boutte, but guess what? I mean, come on. That's not a loss. Locker room.
That room is still loaded, too.
Oof. Yeah, the room is loaded. Loaded. Also, too, like, what I like, and I say this often, right, is like at quarterback, right? Jaden Daniels is a good quarterback. I'm going to take an over, right? Now, I do have some exceptions, including some later today. I traditionally like if there's a backup quarterback that I know can also win ball games. And I think Garrett Nussmeier could also win 10 ball games for LSU, along with Jaden Daniels. So I'm a big fan of this team. I mean, they're young, but in some certain spots, right? I mean, Emory Jones and Will Campbell are true sophomores, but they've both played a lot of snaps in the SEC at tackle, right? And their offensive line is going to be really good. Another reason I'm high on them, I think at running back, they upgrade a little bit there. I know you've talked about Noah Kane being there. I mean, we'll see if he gets a lot of playing time. But Josh Williams, Logan Diggs, I mean, that's a solid running back room, right? But the receivers are really good, man. Malik Neighbors, awesome. He might be one of the best wide receivers in the SEC this year. Aaron Anderson, former 5-star from Alabama, absolute speedster. They can unlock his potential. I mean, that's awesome. How about LSU fans know this guy, Chris Hilton? What does that name do to you, LSU fans? Well, I'll tell you what it does to me. He's healthy. He's giant. He's a monster. If he actually can find his groove, like that is a dude that I would definitely watch out for this year. And he maybe doesn't start week 1, but he will get playing time. And I think that's one of like the sleeper guys for me in that wide receiver room. It's not a sleeper. I think LSU fans are very aware that Chris Hilton is pretty talented, but I don't know. But that's just the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, a lot of transfers. They might be relying a little bit too much on the transfer portal, right? But I think the defensive line is fine. Makai Wingo, Jordan Jefferson. But guess what? Guess who's back? Well, not week 1, but guess who's back? Mason Smith, right? Now, people are saying, like, is he fully healthy? I really hope so. I really hope so for the purposes of taking the over 9.5. But if he's there, I think, like, defensive line-wise, I think they're fine. They knew that was going to be a weak spot, and they went in the transfer portal, and they got a bunch of guys. So I think they have guys there. Omar Spates at linebacker is a very, 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 very good football player. He's played a lot of football in the Pac-12, and LSU people have been saying at camps that he's been awesome. But you can't talk about linebackers without talking about Harold Perkins Jr. Probably the best defensive player in college football going into this year. If you were to have to put a pen and paper in my hands and rank guys, he's unbelievable.
Well, especially in terms of impact, in terms of like what you can do in 3 levels of the game, like drop back in coverage, defend the run, and rush the passer. He could do all 3 of them at an exceptionally high level.
He's Michael Parsons. I mean, like that's his comp, right? And we know what Michael Parsons does in the NFL. We know what he did at Penn State. I mean, he can do everything. And I think, right? Well, I'm pretty confident that Matt House knows what he's doing. I'm actually very confident that he knows what he's doing. I think he knows how to use Harold Perkins really well because he did last year. So I think the biggest question comes to me in the secondary, right? A lot of transfers there. And some of them, well, and also some good true freshmen that maybe like are going to be seeing some time. But Deuce Chestnut, who's a guy that comes from what, D2, D3?
Deuce Chestnut's the Syracuse guy, right? Zay Alexander is the FCS guy from Southeast Louisiana. So not far from LSU, but
yeah. So, but I'm pretty high on both of those guys, and as well as Denver Harris, who might not even start for them. But if Denver Harris is your depth piece, now you might be struggling to learn the playbook a little bit, but I think if he's your depth piece, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. But he'll find a way to get on the field. And Javian Toviano, who's a true freshman, who I thought was coming to A&M. Texas fans thought was going to Texas, goes to LSU. I think as a true freshman, he could make an impact for sure. He's really, really good. So I just think that this team's kind of like loaded everywhere. Depth concerns you at some spots, but I don't see any holes on this team. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I wouldn't say holes, especially at the the starting level. I think the first 22 players on this team are really good, and I think they stack up with just about everybody else in the SEC. Minus maybe Georgia, but and even out. I know they're pretty talented. I'll give them that. I think Jaden Daniels, with his ability to run and throw the ball, I think is a nice impact. I think pushing the ball downfield, I still have questions and concerns about that, taking advantage of this elite wide receiver core. And among other reasons, I'm actually going to take the under here. This is the first time we both disagree in terms of like a play of like, okay, like you're taking the over, you're putting up with money. I'm putting up money with the under. I think last year, I don't want to say that they got lucky because, they won the SEC West, and obviously you need luck to do that every year. But I think they really easily could have been 8-4 and 7-5 in the regular season last year. It didn't really feel like an SEC West champ. I think Georgia, I know, was super excited when it was them versus Bama. I see the room for improvement. I absolutely do. I still think like I put this team as an 8-4, 7-5 team last year, and I think they could improve and they can get to 9-3. And I think this year's schedule, it's pretty damn hard. I think FSU, right? It's in Florida this year, right? That's not going to be easy at all. Yes, it's not on Florida State's campus, but it's still going to be, feel like more of a neutral site to away game. Army in the middle of the year, like what is that? That's awesome, by the way, for LSU to do that, but that's not going to be easy. Not that they're going to lose that game, but in terms of just like getting physically beat up after playing, 7 really tough games. Not really tough, but like physical games against Arkansas and Florida State, even Mississippi State,
even though
Auburn.
Because Navy totally beat up Notre Dame this past weekend.
Well, it's not easy. It's just annoying. It's annoying to have to prep all week for the triple option and then just forget everything and then go into your bye week and play Bama. I don't know. I don't love the dynamics of the schedule. I think, Florida and Missouri are crossovers are about as good as you could do, right?
You don't like the bye. You don't like the bye before Bama?
I do, but I
and getting A&M at home.
Yeah, but I think we both know by week 12, week 13, A&M is going to be playing pretty damn good football. Hopefully.
How about getting Missouri and Florida from the East?
No, and it's not that I don't. Like I said, I think that's about as good as you could have done. Being LSU, I think. I just don't see this as an elite roster in terms of like, I just expect them to win all these games. I think there's going to be a lot of slip ups, especially with Florida State. I think that game really scares me. I think at Ole Miss, even at Missouri, I think they're going to lose to Bama. They're going to go to Bama. And in terms of having to go perfect the rest of the way, or like what 2 more losses, I think 9-3 is what they're going to be at. I don't know. I think I like the defensive line. I like Mickey Wingo, obviously Mason Smith, both guys that are really good. Behind them, I feel like they're kind of stitched together, on that second line. I think the freshmen, they got to rely on them in the offensive line. I think defensively in the secondary, especially, it's going to be freshmen and transfers and guys that you don't really believe in. You don't know exactly what you're going to get. Obviously, linebacker Amar Schmitz and Harold Perkins, you like for sure. You feel pretty good about, but even behind them, like, who's it going to be? Like I don't know. I think there's a lot of room for concern. I think a lot of people are just overlooking, like what actually can go. What if something goes wrong? Like when something goes wrong for LSU, I think it can go pretty wrong. I don't know. I think they got lucky last year. I'm gonna say I don't know.
I mean, I'm looking at this roster and I see 4 first-round draft picks.
Well, it just this year alone, or not even this year alone. I think Garrett Nussbaum you could throw in there. I think eventually he's going to be a top pick. in the draft. Obviously, you got the young guys, Campbell, Jones,
Malik
Mason Smith,
Neighbors, Harold Perkins,
Harold Perkins. But
Mason Smith.
again, it scared me. Even the running back room, we touched on it earlier, and obviously running back is not a premier position, but it's definitely important with the way they're going to want to run the ball with Jaden Daniels there. I don't love the room. I really don't. I think John Emery, kind of still disappointed from him. Josh Williams is fine. Logan Diggs is serviceable from Notre Dame. I don't know. I think I just have too many questions about depth, about but just everyone. Everyone expects them to just get dramatically better, and I just don't see that.
Yeah,
with this team here.
Is Noah Kane playing this year?
I don't know. He should be. I don't know what happened if there's injury wise or something like that. He should be all good, healthy to go.
Yeah, I remember you talking about him a while ago. You said that he could be a sleeper guy for us, but
well, I've liked him.
I say us, but
well, I like him. I think he could be a sleeper. I think he's a guy that if he hits his potential, obviously him and John Manor, there's a ton of potential in the room. I don't know. The more and more I think about LSU, the more and more I dig into it. I was expecting to love this team. I was expecting to pick them to win the West, and then I got into it and went to the roster and the schedule, and even last year, what happened? Like what did it take for them to get? They were 9-3, right? What did it actually take for them to get 9-3? And a lot happened, and they got blown out by Tennessee, and they got LSU A&M dominated them from the jump. Like FSU, they should have beaten FSU, obviously, but I don't know.
Agree to disagree.
Agree. Yeah, that's okay.